He's got no respect for nobody. He doesn't listen to nobody. He doesn't respect anybody. Listen, man, the guy's become an embarrassment. He's embarrassing me with certain people. And I'm looking very bad. I can't deliver a kid from my own goddamn neighborhood. Listen with him. Why does he have to make it so hard on himself? For Christ's sake, the man's got a head of rock.
It's just that when he gets something on his mind, he's got a hard head, he likes to do things his own way. Don't give a fuck. He's gonna do what he wants to do. He wants to make it on his own, Thinks he can make it on his own.
Make it on his own. He thinks he's gonna walk in there and become champion on his own. Right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's got no respect for nobody. He doesn't listen to nobody. That's not crazy.
I respect you.
He doesn't respect anybody. Now, you do this for me, you understand? You tell him. I don't care how colorful he is, how great he is. You could beat all the Sugar Ray Robinsons and the Tony Janeros in the world, but he ain't gonna get a shot at that title, not without us, he ain't.
Anti-Apros Bengalis. Shout out to all the cast to put together a timeless classic, Raging Bull. And the scene, for me, was the most imposing. It speaks to life overall. Nobody can achieve their goal without the help of others. I find so often those who run around insisting that they're solo, they don't need anyone, they don't need a team. Number one, they're lying. Number two, what team they assembled that they call a support system so often is the determining factor as to where you're going to land. Although the ultimate bottom line would be the decisions we make as individuals. So this scenario here certainly sounds familiar. Well, no one said Jake LaMotta ever professed to be perfect. Wasn't perfect, but he certainly achieved the goal because he buckled down and decided to listen to those who had his best interest in mind. Be thankful. Be very thankful. These terms don't apply to you. Can you imagine if this was your reality, if these terms actually apply to you? Can you imagine if this was your existence? And if this is your existence, do you think you would be proud to tell the world that this is your existence? You would come on to social media and be upfront about how you fit into these categories, how the decisions that you have made in life have brought you to this point. How anxious, how motivated, how determined would you be to let the world know this is how you exist? Let's say that you opted not to let the world know this is who you are. Would you just exist in social media, posting along? Or would you try and create an entire new existence? An effort to cover up, to hide, to think you can bury forever what's your reality. Are you proud of what you did in life? Because if you're proud of what you did, it would be the reason that you would hide it. What about if you found yourself in a position where you felt speaking up when facing subjects who are like this would cost you in so many ways? How would you feel if it appeared to you, you decided to believe you have no options other than to rock with subjects in this category? It's like the match up to the face. Don't light it yet, but if you open up your mouth and speak up, they're going to light that match. And the things continue to happen. The worst of the worst of the worst comes out whenever you're encountering subjects in this category and you're rocking with subjects like this. How would you have any semblance of self-respect? How could you say you have humility if you felt stuck, if you felt trapped, if you felt you couldn't escape? Because if you do, you're going to feel an evil wrath of the worst kind. And the irony of it is, while they were involved, engulfed, taking orders, perpetrating, supporting evil of the worst kind, it felt good because they had someone to go along with them. But They're not going to experience the wrath itself until they leave the cult. When they're subjected to the wrath, they also feel elements of this evil wrath if they dare to do anything that disappoints Satan while they're in Satan's grip. When they're in Satan's grip, they get a peek into what's to come if for some reason they ever decide to bail and speak, God forbid, on their experiences. For all the decisions subjects in this category have made about their lives, and it turned out being a total disaster, you be willing to be on social media and allow someone to impose that responsibility onto you to the point they're going to control literally what you say because you're allowing them to control. Nobody can force control upon anybody. It's the decision to relinquish your power. We have these subjects who are bound and determined to think they can control what others do. They feel hopeless. They feel powerless. So they verbalize these schemes that they have no process, no capability to carry out. I mean, talk about the ultimate powerlessness is to know somebody got the best of you, who you started harassing and targeting. They got the best of you, and all you can do is come up with these, at the very least, highly implausible circumstances where you are going to exact revenge because you can't handle the heat. It's all well and good when you're talking shit about people and lying about people, making all these criminal characterizations about others, knowing good and damn well that these criteria apply to you. That means you're not proud of what you did. How much of what you did in the past, how much destructivity did you bring upon yourself? Can you get out of the situation? It's insurmountable. If you have spent a career, whatever, a 15-year career, going through all this training, getting all these certifications to be a probation officer, only to turn around and come into these YouTube streets and seek the approval of actual criminals, bona fide criminals who you're supposed to be supervising. I think it's because he didn't feel he had enough power over those he was supervising as a probation officer. He wanted to make sure he had access to criminals who felt they could act as if they were unfettered. He wanted to conquer them in terms of getting their loyalty, doing whatever he needed to do so they can look at him in a certain way and he'd feel important, because following the law gave no measure of fulfillment because he was following the law when he was supervising people on probation. So it was expected. And I put "so it was expected" in quotations. Talk about the anger it generated by them white folks when they found that this dude was smiling in their faces. Oh, this is a good black person. Oh, we wish we had other black people like him. He's so nice. He does his job. And he stabbed them white folks in the back by betraying them and putting them in a position that had the federal government come in and sanction them because of his illegal access to the systems that are integrated with the federal system. Department of Justice. Criminal charges, yes, indeed, are in order. Should have been filed immediately, trying to keep things quiet. We'll see how long that happens. So now what's left? After a criminal mindset was discovered, something that's insurmountable in terms of fixing after being fired as a probation officer, losing certification, destructivity self-imposed. How in the world could one ever redeem from that? There's no possible way you can go back and get hired as a probation officer and start all over again. No way in hell. It's done. Just like you can't turn the clock back on 27 years of mugshots. 27 years. And I think this is like the salvo of all salvos. Self-imposed. Destructivity. Think back in time. This is a subject that was running around sending other dudes cash apps who didn't even know him. And he was sending the cash apps under his legal name. How and why? Because he never thought there would be an opportunity for him to feel all powerful in these YouTube streets, even if it was pseudo power. I can fool myself into thinking I'm powerful as long as they don't know who I am. But it's too late because he already exposed himself years before, hoping and praying nobody was going to say anything. This is a subject who was cash apping Photon with his government name and loading up Stargate, hoping that she'd drool and pool all over him, and then eventually hoping she would keep his secrets, although he was treating her with such disrespect. I'm sure he thought Photon wasn't even going to decide to even consider looking back into his cash apps. He thought his secret was safe, kidding yourself into thinking you got control over others, expecting others to simply tolerate their criminal behavior that has been going on for 27 years. Can anybody really expect that someone like this, who blows off judges just for the high, the immediate gratification, blows off the system for immediate gratification, would feel like a failure when it came to coming into these YouTube streets and acting like he's got control of any and everybody? And if you step out of line, he's going to do what? Going to become abusive, harassing, stalking. When you're doing wrong, trust and believe people are going to find out. The authorities are going to find out. Why do you think there's such a big difference between those over on Satan's side and over here? That's where all the criminals are. In particular, of the non-reformed variety. What do you think about that? The slant of those engaged in criminal conduct, active criminal conduct, whether or not it's indicted or unindicted. The criminals of the non-reformed variety are all on that side. And even those who try to perpetrate like they never made threats of violence towards others, they never said they were going to kick Stargate's biddies in. They never said they were going to take a shotgun to people. They never said they were going to beat men over the head with bricks. Now that new subjects have come around, they try to change their voice and act as if they've been innocent and pure as the driven snow and never got involved in any situation where they were calling black men bish ass ninjas and all these other race attacking terms that they were initiating, invoking violence, males and females. Notice the high concentration of subjects who invoke violence with the fact, and so frustrated that we don't want to run around and be up under them, that they make up a story that we want to be with them. I mean, what sense would it make? People who have their lives in order would consciously choose to engage in criminal conduct. I submit to you, the fired probation officer, life wasn't in order. There's some serious disruptions to that life offline. Disposition of being unfulfilled to the extreme that they would seek out criminals for approval. I'm seeking out criminals, non-reformed criminals for approval, because there is the conquering again. I can conquer this mindset, this criminal mindset, illegal behavior by researching those who wasn't providing services to. We sure saw that's the case. Like this example, smiling in each other's faces. And what did Antonio Johnson do? Pretended he was friends with rage pigs. Whoever thought they were and who gave a damn? Bottom line is, he was spying on him. Spying is about control. This is an ultimate form of control seeking, control acquisition. There's no legit reason to look up this subject. Now, there are legit reasons when people should be looked up. Like, you're going to make a police report on somebody? You want the facts to be presented rather than lies? Yeah, go look up somebody. Go research somebody. These are supposed to be friends. Never believed, ever, folks, that these evil, wicked beings were friends. They don't even know what the meaning of friend is. How are you going to be a friend to someone who won't even know what the hell a friend is? Right, friends perpetrate felonies upon each other. Yeah, a supposed officer of the law with post-certification perpetrates felonies against the other freak smiling in his face, and Antonio Johnson, the other freak, is smiling back. while spying and utilizing, carrying out felonious behavior in the process that led to getting fired and decimating his career, revoking probation certification credentials issued by the state. This was worth it. Seeking this amount of control, spying, was worth it. Throwing the whole damn freaking career away. Whatever the exact ingredients are that resulted in this recipe being cooked up and blown up in the kitchen, here it is, folks. It's played out right in front of the world to see. Public information. And this is a good reason why you have open records. We need to know who the hell we're dealing with out there in the world. It's not surprising, people. I don't fully register the big deal about these phonies who don't like each other, who are trying to pretend that they do. It doesn't make any difference whether they are openly speaking about how low down and dirty each of them are, or all of them are, or whether they're shafting each other in the cut. It's irrelevant. Give a crap whether or not they talk about how dirty they are out in the open. Dirty is dirty. They're always going to stab and snake each other. I don't give a damn. What I give a damn about, the decisions the courts are making. What's handed down? How is the legal system dealing with it? What is the outcome? What is the punishment that these evil, sick, disgusting, vile vermin receive for the atrocities that they're perpetrating on innocent people? I don't give a shit if they shaft each other in the open or in the cut. I'm still going to talk about it. As far as this criminal conduct, now feels he has nowhere to go but to come back to the criminal element. Perhaps that is what he was always attached to, and he was just perpetrating while he was working as a probation officer. Well, that's how the white folks certainly saw it. How dare this ninja come up in here thinking he can trick us, and we're going to do what? And then the most bizarre, cowardly act of all is denying, lying that he didn't. My God, why in the hell would someone undertake something like this if you're too damn embarrassed to admit that you did it? Same goes with these PPP loan fraud freaks. Same thing goes with Dumpsy D. Durrell. You have the nerve to sit here and engage in this type of criminal conduct, then turn around and lie and try to blame it on others, acting like you can call shots in a plea bargain when your ass belongs in a prison cell, and so desperately wanted us on this side of the tracks to be like them that they would create all these stories, start infusing these bald-faced lies into the equation, creating criminal circumstances that don't exist, and then inserting people's names into the scenario as if we are the criminals, as if those they targeted are the criminals. The only criminals are those you see getting arrested. The only criminals you see are those getting fired from jobs because they violated the law. Fired teachers who have to have CPS reports filed on them. And the principal saying, we don't want her here anymore. She doesn't like our children. She doesn't like our kids. She doesn't want to be here because you're a phony and they knew you were a phony. Getting on the news because of your behaviors in the school are so atrocious where you're supposed to be caring for the young and vulnerable. And you allowed your wicked, vile, detestable life to spill out into those classrooms and they got you out of there. Thank God. Then get so pissed off in these YouTube streets running around threatening to kill people. Because you won't love me, I want to run around and I want to talk about your family. I want to wish the ninja dead and the daughter too. Wishing a child dead because the daddy don't want nothing to do with you. You know, folks, when you think about something like that, most unfortunately, things like this occur and the subjects who think like this actually carry out the ultimate criminal act of taking a child's life because the child's parent, whether it's the mother or the father, wants nothing to do with them, broke up with them, never wanted them, trying to get away from them, and the rejection is too much to handle. Liars in and around that Umar Johnson sector. You're not prevailing. You never will prevail. Those who are in the clutches of the law are the ones who are in the clutches of the law. And anyone else who wants to get wrapped up in it, get wrapped up in it. Yes, guilt by association, 100%, especially when it comes to our people. But that's their problem. They want to get caught up. Let them get caught up. Blame people for calling the police. Blame people for calling the police. It's not going to stop people from calling the police. That can add more charges. Who's willing to assume responsibility for others, whether it's a 27-year mugshot history or any other atrocity? Who is going to assume the responsibility for that outcome? Certainly not the targets. However, that's indeed the goal. Any and everything that happens to subjects who live this type of life, this non-reformed criminal mentality, these fools know. In particular, the one with the 27-year mugshot history, Rage Pigs, trying to replicate what is online, or even a shell of what's online, what he's kidding himself into believing he has online, will never be able to be replicated once you step off YouTube or social media. And look what the effort garnered. Trying to take control of other people's lives, law got involved. The law is going to continue to get involved in these YouTube streets whenever this subject steps out of line, whenever anyone else steps out of line. We see that Satan maidens are weary. They want out. And that's a whole nother video. But for now, there is not going to be any change to anyone that I'm aware of who gets targeted by someone with the 27-year mugshot history or any other quasi-flunkies who have 1.5 feet out the door. Never going to succeed. It failed. Look what ended up happening. It's an epic loss of a grand proportion that you can't even measure. It's now catching up with reality as this subject experiences offline. Now there's no more difference. Loser offline, loser online. The only response is to what? Generate campaigns of harassment. Again, the only reactivity for what's good for the goose is good for the gander is criminal activity, threatening criminal activity, engaging in campaigns of harassment, targeting people, misgendering people, slandering people, accusing people of being criminals, accusing people of targeting children when no crimes committed. Since their world is so wrapped up in criminality, since they're embarrassed because they're stuck in their mind in the clutches of a subject with the 27-year mugshot history, they want to evade their reality as it relates to the choices, the conscious choices that they made. I don't know anyone over on this side of the tracks that regrets any conscious decisions they've made with respect to taking care of themselves and their families, but you hear and see and feel a whole lot of regret on Satan's side of the tracks, on Satan Maiden's cult side of the tracks. And that is something who will have to reconcile? Certainly not anyone over on this side of the tracks. Listen, folks, absolutely more coming your way. In the meantime, buyer beware.